You connected in informal settlements?
We have actually been in Kenya since 2009. We have almost 40 projects in rural areas and provide water to 100,000 people. And with informal settlement, we have now 4. And we hopefully extending to...
Which of the
we have in the Madare, now existing one that people using, and the results is very promising.
So that's only Madare as an informal settlement. What about Kibera and the other?
This is the next stage, that because we are now testing the technology and see how the people receiving the technology, because innovation is always also see how the people adopting and receiving this innovation. And we are very positive, surprised that people is really adopting this technology.
All right, so what is the reception so far? What kind of feedback are you getting from this technology? Is it that they think it's too advanced for them, or are they very receptive to
Absolutely not. I mean, the whole world look at the Kenya because you are the frontier for the M-Pesa payment, and it's, Europe has just got for 2-3 years ago.
Right.
So people is really good at adopting the new technology, and we make it very simple because you can see all the numbers on the screen that even you cannot read or write, you still can have access to data, and it's been amazing to see, I mean, how the people receiving this innovation. And I think innovation is the way to make sure the sustainability of the water and future that we've been discussing in all this week actually.
All right, and for each of these machines, how much do they go for? Is it just a partnership that you're having with Nairobi Water at the moment?
Well, we actually, this is Nairobi Water here, but we are still now in Uganda. We are going Tanzania. We have a dealing with the UNEA in Burkina Faso. So we are actually extending across the Africa, and also we're looking now, lessons learned from Africa to move to some country in Asia.
All right, so once again, just take us through, how exactly do I get money onto this card? To start with, do I go to M-Pesa?
Yes.
And then when I get to an M-Pesa shop or mobile money shop whatsoever, what exactly do I do? Do I
just send a simple
transfer money?
SMS. There is a number on the card. You send the SMS to your M-Pesa account, and just say, okay, I would like 10 cents or 10 shillings credit. Then 10 seconds after, you just got a message on your mobile that's saying now you got 10 shillings credit. So you put the machine, and the machine immediately register that they've been transferred 10 shillings credit on your card.
All right, and so when I place it here, it will show me how much money I have
on your card. Yeah.
Okay, and then if I want to specify, maybe I want 25 liters, where do I go?
You just push the button. You just do it simply, and you can see the water is down, and this you see the liters to count. And then you can count on the 25 liters, and you can just stop this. Okay. And you just put the button again. And water is immediately stops immediately.
Okay. All right, so it's more user-friendly as well.
Very. And although all the data from here collected will be transferred digitally to the Nairobi Water computer on our server, which means they have a data on everything, on the consumption, price, and everything. And also, if there's this is one of the problem with the water points is everything happens with the machine or the water. They will be again send an SMS to water utility technicians that something is wrong with the system, so they can take immediate action.
Okay. And so it's safe water.
Safe water, and because in the especially in the informal settlement, when they know that the provider is Nairobi Water and other utilities, then they know the source of the water, and then they know this is the safe, and as they impact on their health and education. But the majority of the informal settlement in Africa, that you never know where the source of the water, so they find the risk of the diseases there.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And this technology is from what part of the world?
It's actually from Denmark.
From Denmark.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it implemented in Denmark, or it's one that was specifically meant for?
We developed. Actually, this has been developed in Denmark in close consultation with the African, also even community in rural areas, which kind of technology they would like to see to change their life, and then we developed this one.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us today. Thank you.
And that is Rasul Mikkelsen, who is the Director for Global Partnerships at Grandfus, talking to us about this new technology that helps people, especially those living in informal settlements, have access to safe and clean water around the African continent. I'll now hand you over to my colleague, that is Abi Agena, who is somewhere around the exhibition area to speak to yet other stakeholders at the Africa Water Association Congress.
Well, many thanks there, Joy, for that interesting conversation around new technologies when it comes to water access. Of course, that technology has gone a long way in trying to eradicate issues of illegal connections, especially at informal settlements across the country. We did earlier on speak to the managing director of Kisumu Water and Sewerage Company, CEO, Engineer David Onyango, who did mention that Kisumu has also rolled it out, as well as Nairobi. They're leading the example. We now want to showcase some of the technologies that we have here at this particular conference. A lot of exhibitors are here this afternoon, and as you can see, latest technologies, water meters are also here for showcase. And we want to now speak to Herman Bailan, who is the export manager for this particular company. Many thanks for joining us on KTN News. Tell us a little bit more about the conference. How has it been so far for you?
At first, thank you very much for drop our stand. I would be really glad. It is the 30th hour right now in the Congress. We had really good contacts, and also we start to close some contracts with our clients as well. It's our first experience in Kenya in our exhibition, but I hope that at the end of this Congress, we will have a really fruitful business.
Of course, Kenya is one of the key markets that a lot of foreign companies are looking to set up in. Are you looking also to set up in Kenya, and how big is the market here?
Exactly, we have as Bailan, we are producing 18,000 pieces a day of water meters, and then we are sharing our 45% of our capacity to the export, and also 15% for the African market, which is a very high quantity. For example, in Tanzania, in Cameroon, in Chad, in Mali, we are dominating the market, and we think that in Kenya, why not also the Bailan meters can be used. So also with our agent in Kenya, we would like to of course set up some asset, and we make some big investment in Kenya as well to also penetrate our meters in the market.
Of course, we've seen some new technologies here. Perhaps myself, I'm used to this particular kind of meter. Maybe I can show it to our viewers. This is commonly in your plot or in your compound where you do have the water meters. We're seeing some technologies coming about. I can see one here that is sort of automated. Tell us a little bit more about technology and water.
Of course. Today's in the world, the main global problem is the lack of water. That's why what we are doing is Bailan, that we always follow up the newest generation, and also we are always open to innovation. This is the third generation of Bailan prepaid meters. With this prepaid meters, the main concern is that the customer, also water utilities, will be able to control the water consumption, and also detection of the water leakages. And there's also three options. The main problem also, mainly in Africa, is the tampering. With this meter, if the subscriber, water user, take out the meter from the pipeline, immediately it sends a signal to the main sender office that the meter take out from the pipeline, and the meter get cut off the valve automatically. And this meter can only be reactivated with the authorized guide, which is given to the esteemed water utilities in Africa.
Okay. How much are we selling this kind of technologies here?
It is around $75.
Okay.
Yep.
Many thanks, Herman Bailan. Thank you for giving us those interesting perspectives around what's been happening in the water sector. And we want now to shift our attention and look at some of the other technologies as well. And as you can see here, some of the latest pump technologies that are up for showcase in this particular conference. A lot of guests looking forward to actually getting a lesson or two regarding this particular development, and we will be speaking later on to the people behind this stand, Junaco Group of Companies, which is actually one of the companies that is Kenyan owned, that is really trying to have an impact when it comes to access to water. And we are now almost to be joined by the managing director of Junaco, and he is actually here with us, and we can have him. He's here with us, and he can tell us a little bit more. Just in brief, what do you make of the conference so far?
So far it's been an enlightening experience. We've come across many customers, many solutions, especially in their treatment. And as sponsors, we are very happy with the organizers. We are happy with the host, Nairobi Water. And we look forward to doing business in the region.
Sorry, we didn't introduce you. Maybe you can make a quick introduction.
My name is Edward Keta. I'm the MD for Junaco. Junaco is a regional East African company, originally set up in Tanzania into the year 2000, but now in Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, DRC, and Zambia, and looking forward to being in Ethiopia.
Interesting. And looking at the Kenyan market, how is the market so far? Over the years, we've seen a lot of international companies, but slowly we're seeing African kind of Kenyan-owned companies coming into this sector. What do you make of the trends around the investments in water?
As a developing country, we didn't have a heavy engineering or a manufacturing base. So we were importing almost every water equipment into this country. But now what we're trying to do as Junaco, our vision is to partner and bring in technology from various areas in the world and set up a plant, actually, in this country that can produce water meters, pumps, valves, and any other accessories in the water industry.
Many thanks there. We've been speaking to Kshs, who is the Managing Director for Junaco, just giving us the latest perspectives around investors in the water industry. And before we wrap up, I want to cross over where Joy Doreen is on standby to tell us a little bit more on what's happening in the conference. Over to you, Joy.
Thanks, Abby. And we cannot finish this conversation without talking about water in Nairobi County itself. And joining me now is Engineer Philip Gishuki, who is the Managing Director for Nairobi Water and Sewage Company. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very
much. My first question to you will be, how much are we generating today, or how much are we producing today, and is it dependent on seasons?
Like today, what we brought to the city is 571,000 cubic meters of water. That is what we were able to generate from our 4 sources. We have 4 sources, one in Kikuyu Springs, Rido Dam, then we have Sasumwa Dam, then we have Ngedo Dakaine system.
All right.
So we brought 571. The deficit, the demand is 740,000 cubic meters of water per day in Nairobi. So the deficit is 170,000 cubic meters of water per day.
All right, when you say 170,000 cubic meters, that's a lot of water we're looking at. But what are the current dependency mechanisms that you're putting in place? Because as it appears, Nairobi actually depends a lot on the seasons, how much rainfall we receive and how much is stored. But then again, there are seasons when you cannot hold more than a certain capacity. So what are the storage mechanisms you've put in place?
As I've said, we have 3 dams, and as of today, as we are talking, they are 99% full. What constrains us is the treatment capacity, and that one does not depend on the seasonality. We have, as of now, we have adequate storage, but there is the installed capacity to treat the water. And that is what is the constraining factor, that you cannot be able to go beyond 571. Indeed, the design capacity is 525,000 cubic meters.
Right.
And we have been able to increase the production beyond the design capacity. Yes.
All right. And so when you look at the current storage mechanisms, I'm sure you do know that sometimes we receive more rainfall than expected, and so we probably need more storage mechanisms as well. But let's talk about this Congress and how it's playing a role in ensuring that at least we get to where we're supposed to be to meet the deficit at the moment.
One of the things that is in this Congress is the technologies that are there to treat water.
Right.
And very important for us in the city of Nairobi, because water is finite resource, and therefore there's an extent you cannot go beyond. And therefore we have to go outside the box and think, what can we do?
Right.
There are quite a number of industries in Nairobi who do not use water for production. They use it either for cooling, they use it for cleaning, and that water no need to be the first grade water. And therefore there are many technologies here showing us how we can recycle water. And we are encouraging even gated community to consider recycling the wastewater they have for it to be used in irrigating